Give me a clap now. So I guess this is our first special that's not about Doctor Who.
Yeah, it's a rare privilege to not have to talk about Doctor Who. We're talking about movies now. We've left the TV show world.
I mean, we were going to do one about Captain Marvel, but then it didn't happen.
Then it just didn't.
But that's fine. I feel like this is more important anyway.
This is way more important, and she's in this film anyway, so it's 2 birds with 1 stone. Perfect.
I was going to say, do you want to do a non-spoiler review first, but then...
Nah.
Anyone who's a Marvel fan has already seen it, and anyone who's not a Marvel fan doesn't care, so...
Yeah, if you've...
Does it matter?
Yeah, we'll say spoiler review in the video title, I assume, so it's... Yeah, it doesn't matter. If you're listening, you know we're going to be spoiling this film. Not one secret will be left to the imagination unless we forget to talk about it.
Let's just jump into Iron Man's dead.
Black Widow's dead.
Thanos is dead ×2.
Loki's alive.
I guess.
Oh well.
Yeah. Right. Where do we even start?
Where all good stories start. The beginning.
So the beginning is the end of the last film.
Yes, it's just maybe we'll say hours after, maybe days later. Starts off on the Guardians of the Galaxy ship.
He said it's like 23 days after.
Stuck on for almost a month. Him and Tony Stark and Nebula have been trapped on the ship that I forget the name of, but it has a name.
I was going to say the Nebuchadnezzar, but it's not the Nebuchadnezzar.
Where's that?
That's the ship from the Matrix.
Yes, that's the ship from the Matrix, yes.
The Milano? Is that what it's called?
No, I think it starts with an R. I think the Reinar or something like that.
Oh, the Milano is the one that got blown up at the start of Guardians 2.
Yes, correct. We're talking about everything apart from Avengers Endgame. So, yeah, they're trapped on the ship, they're having fun. Wait, no, sorry, that's wrong. The film literally does start before the titles with Hawkeye and his family.
Oh, that's true. See, I had predicted that was going to happen just based on what I knew from the trailers, but it was well done.
Hawkeye and his family is clearly going to be the start of the film, and they're going to disintegrate because Hawkeye isn't allowed happiness.
Of course. He has to become the Ronin.
The Batman.
Which, as you predicted, never call him that in the whole movie.
But they do in marketing.
Just like Captain America was Nomad, even though he was just Captain America.
Though I will say they did go a step further, because in the toys for this they're going to say Ronin, probably, I haven't looked, but in talk shows they have said you're playing a character of Ronin, unlike in, Infinity War. No one ever said that Captain America was Nomad, everyone was just your Captain America.
Captain America with a beard.
With a beard, and you're in hiding. Everyone likes him with a beard now, so people were disappointed when he shaved it.
I don't know if I can go through a whole plot synopsis. I mean, really.
Too much happens.
It's a 3-hour-long movie.
3-hour-long. I never went to the bathroom once, and I'm so proud of myself.
I went like 3 times.
Seriously?
You know me, I have a tiny bladder.
Kyle, man, you missed so much. I don't know if you...
I didn't.
Do you know how the film ends? Were you with the bathroom for that?
Everyone wins, right? The end. Happy ever after.
Not everyone wins.
I don't know, can we just talk about random things and assume that people already know what happens in the film?
Yeah, well,
that seems easier.
If you're listening to this, you have already seen it, and if you haven't, we're sorry, even if you don't care about spoilers. We're going to talk about this in our own manner that comes most easy to us, the parts that we like, the parts that we dislike, in no particular order.
So, I like the first half of the film, where everyone's sad.
Yeah.
Basically.
The first, maybe 2/3 of it.
Yeah, I I don't really understand why the time skip had to be 5 years. That seemed like too long to still believe that no one had aged a day.
Yeah, I think maybe 2 years would have been rounded up. For some reason, I think they thought 5 years was a very impactful time period had passed, where people have kind of moved on.
The only way I could, like, justify it was, I guess they did it so that Tony had a daughter that was old enough to speak.
Yeah, I think it would have been partly that and part of a bunch of reasons. There's a line that they talk about right at the start of the film that governments are trying to do censuses and trying to see where the world's at. And, obviously when Ant-Man comes back and he sees the tribute in San Francisco to the names of the people who disappeared, I think they wanted the time for it to feel like the world has moved on. Because I don't really think people moved on in 2 years. Like, if you think of 2 years ago from now, it doesn't feel that long ago. And I think 5 years they thought that's just enough time where people who survived are starting to get used to it. Whether as if it was, 2 years, 3 years, they might still be in trauma.
That is something I did appreciate about the film, is that the world wasn't in total chaos. It wasn't Mad Max land.
Yeah, the world...
Like, society kept on moving, which in other movies it would be like, oh, this is just the apocalypse and everyone's looting in the streets and stuff.
Yeah, it also did kind of reflect... Thanos wasn't totally wrong.
I mean, kind of was, though.
No, he was evil, but the outcome of the evil thing was like, well, there wasn't a shortage of resources anymore.
I mean, the movie does kind of prove why Thanos was wrong, though, which is because they invent time travel to undo it. So
yeah, well, he does. Like, then his past Thanos self, who's a time traveler, is then like, right, okay, well, I realise now that no one that survives will ever just be happy with what they have, so I will now just start again, and no one will know what there used to be.
This is another tiny nitpick about the 5-year time skip, which is, after 5 years, would Black Widow really still have blonde in her hair?
The way females grow and cut their hair, I wouldn't be surprised.
5 years? It wasn't that much longer. She must have had it cut a few times.
Maybe we don't.
This is a tiny nitpick, but it kind of bothered me.
I think you could destroy this film by stabbing it with thousands of tiny needles. I honestly think this film could be nitpicked to death. This is not an Iron Man film. Ironically,
it's a Swiss cheese.
It is Swiss cheese. I love the film. I actually came out of this film feeling really empty. Like, I saw a bunch of other people, because it was, when I went and saw it at midnight, and it was like a concert. There was so many, even friends who I wasn't going with, I also ran into them in the cinema, just because there was that many people there. And I came out and I was seeing different people, we were all talking about it. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning. And people were either crying or satisfied or whatever. I just felt really empty. I don't know how else to describe it. I was like, I know I enjoyed this film, but I don't know how I feel about it, like, in terms of what I liked and what I disliked. I just came out with a general feeling. I didn't care who died and I didn't care who lived. It was like, that was fun. And I think it's maybe because, again, it was midnight and I was exhausted. But I still haven't seen it again. I've only seen the film once. And I don't know. I really did feel that this film was nitpicked. That you could eat. This film wasn't really. It wasn't narratively strong.
That's the main issue with any time travel film, though. It's just, if you try and think about it, everything falls apart. And that is the issue with basically every time travel narrative.
That is bullshit. Watch Star Trek 4.
I'll get to it eventually, don't you worry. Anyway, I just realised I never actually said what I thought about the film.
Yeah, what did you think of it?
So, when I first came out of it, I was like, that was great. Loved it. And then as I started to think about it more, I started, you can't help it. I just started thinking about, well, that doesn't really make sense. And that doesn't work. And this isn't very satisfying. And you kind of picking at it. And I still like it. I wouldn't put it on the same level anywhere close to Infinity War, though. I would put it more on level with like Age of Ultron.
That's fair. That's fair. My first instinct when I came out from seeing it is I think I still like Infinity War better, and I got
I
some
agree.
I got some I don't know if backlash is the right word because you're just standing with your friends talking about it, but I did get some heat of being like, but this film was so much more emotionally satisfying. And you know what? See, emotionally, this film is great. This film, gives you all the right beats of 10
Oh yeah,
years.
absolutely.
This is great. I feel really happy or sad or satisfied in the moment when insert thing happens. You have a reaction to it. But when you step back and look at the whole film start to finish and compare it to another film start to finish, practically it's just good. But it's not. I still think
It's
I
not
prefer.
great.
Yeah, I still
It's
think I
not
prefer.
amazing.
Yeah, it was weird when I saw Infinity War. I still thought Infinity War wasn't really much of a structure of a film either, but then I realised that you're supposed to be viewing it from the point of view of Thanos and not the point of view of the Avengers, and then it suddenly
Yeah.
clicked. I don't know how else I can look at Avengers Endgame for it to click. There might be, and it's not, I've not witnessed it yet, because again, I've only seen the film once, and I will be seeing it again. But, I don't know, I kind of feel like, it was emotionally satisfying, and the way it made me feel makes me just want to dismiss all of the things. But then I'm like, can I?
You can't turn your brain off.
Can't turn my brain off. Can't turn my brain off because they were. I appreciated they tried when it came to explaining how time travel works.
They tried their absolute hardest, but it still doesn't make
It's
sense.
like when they explained time travel in this universe isn't how people think time travel works, purely based on their experiences with other pieces of fiction. And it's so when they say this is how time travel works, then you go, well, that's not how time travel works. Based on what? Based on other works of fiction. It's like you can't base it on any form of reality. They're not breaking any rules. Time travel isn't real. Time travel can be whatever you want. But I still think that they just thought, well, the pop culture consensus and how time travel works is really inconvenient for our film, so we're just going to change it.
Yep.
So,
but then they also kind of ignore their own rules. So God knows.
Yeah, like now there's an alternate timeline where Thanos never continued on his journey because he died in the
because
future.
He died.
There's also another reality
it's
where
like
Loki
if you're already going to change the timeline that much, then why even bother returning the Infinity Stones?
Yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ.
There's also a reality where
Loki gets
Loki
away.
stole the Tesseract because that happened in the same point in time where Tilda Swinton is explaining that removing an Infinity Stone from New York in 2012, aka the Time Stone, will give this new black dimension timeline that like will splinter off and not be good. So they say, okay, we can't take the Time Stone because that'll happen. But then someone else just takes the Space Stone. I know he doesn't time travel with it, but he still takes it somewhere else.
And I mean, that whole the Loki getting away with the Tesseract, that has to come up at some point, right?
Oh yeah,
that was too blatant.
Yeah, I think now that's the TV show. Because at first I thought, oh, that's just a gag. Oh, Loki stole the cube, and it's like, well, that's a big deal. Loki stole the cube. So that's going to come back. That has to. There's no way that won't become another plot point. Also, how did Thor, when he went back, not Thor, Captain America, at the end of the film, when he goes to take back all the Infinity Stones, he took Mjolnir with him, which is fair enough. You got to return Mjolnir. How did he get Mjolnir to Asgard?
Well, it's also a teleporter, the time machine.
Oh, yeah, so it is. Fair enough. Suppose that shut me up. I thought he just went like back to 2012 and was like, I'll just invent a spaceship and I'll fly.
No, the time machine works as
a space and time
an
machine.
Emotional point, but it doesn't work if you try and analyze how it affects the universe.
Yeah.
Just like most time travel things, it doesn't make sense if you think about it for too long.
Yeah, but usually they just accept how every other film or every other work of fiction has ever done time travel, so society has got used to this fictional concept and how it works without having to have it explained in every film. Like when they made Spider-Man with the MCU, we never had to see Uncle Ben die because people know how Uncle Ben died. We've seen it in 2 other iterations of Spider-Man, plus comic books and cartoons and blah 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 blah. So they didn't have to do it again. If in this film they had just had time travel work how it works in every other film, they wouldn't have really had to have explained it because the audience already knows. But they had to reinvent it because it was inconvenient, and also I think they didn't. I think their primary concern was they didn't want to undo the snap. They wanted the snap happened, time passed, which I think is great because if you just they solved it by going back to the end of Infinity War, Wakanda,
the last movie, and they didn't want to do that.
Yeah, which is fully respect and appreciate. That is how you do it, but I think they overwrote it.
I do appreciate that that was a big concern that this movie was just gonna like nullify Infinity War, and I don't think it did. I think that even though the people get brought back at the end, Infinity War still felt like it mattered.
Yes, Infinity War objectively happened. Now they didn't undo the snap at the end, or they never went back to Thanos at the end of the first Avengers when the Jatari come through and stab him in the back when he's sitting on his throne. You know, Infinity War did happen, which is great. 5 years have passed, which means every MCU movie ever made now is set 5 years in the future. It's people who, members of the family who disappeared, they're now going to be 5 years younger, essentially. And the people who survived are going to be 5 years older, because they've lived 5 years of their life.
Even though you wouldn't tell by looking at any of them.
Unless they recast, which they did with a few people. Recast Ant-Man's daughter.
They recast... That's it, though. I don't remember them recast... I guess they Was that Chris Evans at the end of the film?
Right, I spoke to people about this, and I looked up on, I think I did an IMDb, or Wikipedia's filmography, or whatever, cast all on Google. Someone said that it's a different actor, that it's an actor you've seen and stuff, but I had no idea who that person was talking about. I was like, I've never seen that actor anywhere. And it was definitely Chris Evans' voice, digitally aged.
It was definitely Chris Evans' voice, yeah. That's why it was confusing me.
So, and I'm going to say it's Chris Evans, also just CGI aged. I feel comfortable saying that.
Okay, it's hard to tell.
Yeah. What was your favourite sequence in the film?
Favourite sequence? That's a tricky one.
Sequences can also just include the entire part of being in the 1970s or whatever, or the entire part where, they're in New York in 2012.
I liked the part in New York in 2012. I also did, for the most part, like the big end climactic battle.
I loved the end climactic battle. I still think the 2012 stuff was my favourite, but the end battle in the Avengers complex where Ant-Man should have died when those explosions hit him. Oh well.
Hey, listen. You know what? Let's talk about characters, shall we?
Let's talk about characters.
So let's start with Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Is it just me, or was Brie Larson really bad in this film?
I had this concern going in. So they shot Endgame before they shot Captain Marvel.
I'm aware, yeah.
And because of all the secrecy with Endgame, nobody kind of knew the whole story of what they were filming. They were just given their lines and a bunch of redacted parts and actors, and a lot of the time just standing in front of a green screen. Because a lot of the points Captain Marvel isn't exactly using a lot of practical methods in Endgame.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, she doesn't know this character yet, really. Because she's got a very small role, and a lot of it's going to just not be on location. So she won't the actor, Brie Larson, kind of doesn't know what's happening, really. Not her fault, just a reality of the film. Then she'll find more into the character as she makes Captain Marvel. And the bad thing about that is, when you see Captain Marvel first, and the actor seems kind of as the film's progressing, she gets more comfortable in the role, then you go into Endgame, which they shot first, and all of that progress is just lost because the actor didn't know yet. And I do think she seems really... However, one part I loved with Captain Marvel was when she sees... when Spider-Man is holding the gauntlet, and he looks exhausted because he just survived a massive explosion. And he's like, hi, and he says, I'm Peter Parker, and she's like, hey, Peter Parker, have you got something for me? So that little exchange was great. I thought it was so great.
I don't know, like, even in that scene, she was just being completely outclassed by Tom Holland acting-wise.
Yeah. Weird, because Brie Larson has an Oscar for acting. But again, I think it's just because she wasn't quite familiar with the role yet.
She just had no screen presence. I don't know.
At least she didn't solo Thanos. Everyone was like, she's gonna solo Thanos, or woman's gonna kill Thanos.
Can we talk about women? And that one scene that was cheesy as hell.
Oh, the A-Force.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it was more of a statement to the audience than it was to the film's logical sense.
I get that. It was just, I was looking at it like, I can't believe they're actually doing this. This is ridiculous.
This is completely ridiculous. Yeah, I do have I quite a few female friends who appreciated the hell out of it though. Like they really. I mean, I guess got them.
I guess like I'm not opposed to female superheroes. Right? I don't give a crap. It's just the practicality of every single female superhero on the battle coming to that one point. Like, are you not doing other things? Are you not at different points in the battlefield? Why are you? You don't even know her. Why are you showing up right here?
At this specific point in time, what are the guy superheroes doing? The practicality of it being every female superhero when there's quite a few of them. It's not just as one or two.
There's a lot, yeah.
When all of them happen to coincidentally be there together, no guy in sight. It was definitely more of a statement to the people sitting in the cinema than it was anything to do with the story. It was beyond ridiculous. I just accepted it for the feminist statement that it was and just got on with the film. It took me out of the film for a beat, but who cares? It wasn't like it was a 5-minute sequence where I'm sitting screaming.
It didn't overstay its welcome or anything. It was really noticeable.
Yeah, it was super noticeable. Like, people were comparing it, and I think I also immediately at the outset tried to contrast it to this. In Infinity War, there's a scene with Black Widow, Scarlet Witch, and Okoye in like the trench fighting the lady member of the Black Order.
That felt a lot more natural.
That was so organic. That was fine. People were like, "Oh, it's just the same as that in Infinity War." No, it's not.
No, it's not.
There are only 3 of these superheroes. These 3 female superheroes. One of them is fighting another, and then these 2 other female superheroes show up. Just coincidentally, like it was a coincidence they were all female.
Yeah.
There wasn't a point to it. In this, there's a clear point, and you're like, oh, there's a clear point to this. Pause the film a minute.
In that scene in Infinity War, they don't like pose like, yeah, we're the female badass superheroes.
Yeah.
They're just in the middle of a fight already.
Yeah, see, it worked. It's not so. I think. Pause for a minute, put a pin in this critiquing because it sounds like we're just going to wreck this film. Can we talk about some stuff we do like?
I love Captain America in this film.
I love Captain America in this film.
Captain America was my favourite character in the film.
So, I've always been Team Iron Man, and it was never until the end, not even the start of Civil War, it was never until the end of Civil War that I actually believe and feel that even though I'm still Team Iron Man, that Captain America was really the heart and soul of the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even in Age of Ultron, where Tony Stark openly says he's in charge, I just pay for everything, I was still always Team Tony. And then after Civil War and into Infinity War and in Endgame, you just cannot deny Captain America is such a great character. His great outfit with
he's so like
scaling.
He's so like enjoyable to watch. Like you want to root for him.
Yeah, he's such a character you can get behind. Then he picks up Mjolnir.
That was awesome.
That was so cool.
I don't care if that was fan service. That was awesome.
It pays off from Age of Ultron where he like nudges it, and then Thor shits himself, being like, "Oh no, you can hold it." And there's always been like a little argument to say, do you think he actually could pick it up, or do you think he was just pretending he couldn't to not embarrass Thor, or could he not? Was he not ready to pick it up yet? And later on he would. Some people think, well, this proves that he always could pick it up. He was just not embarrassing Thor back in Age of Ultron.
I think he was just not able yet.
I think he wasn't able yet. Like it was in there, and it was after Civil War. Ever since Civil War, he's been able to pick it up, but he's never seen Thor with Mjolnir since then. And obviously, it was then destroyed in Ragnarok. But I think the end of Civil War, where he cements what his principles are, standing up against the government and everything, from there, that is the Captain America pure. Like he's ditched everything with Shield. He's not working with the government anymore. He's done it. He's just there to help people. And then Thor looks like he's summoning Mjolnir because Thanos is on top of him. And you think, Thor's gonna.
You know that shot was Thanos. Exactly like the scene in The Force Awakens, where Kylo Ren goes to get the lightsaber and then it flies past him into Rey's hand.
Oh, I suppose. Yeah, shit, it was. That's never occurred to me. Oh, it was.
It's exactly the same scene.
Except we know Captain America, we didn't know Rey. This was infinitely more satisfying.
That's true.
To see, it would have been cooler if his shield wasn't all cracked up because it would have been like the full set.
It wasn't cracked up when he got the shield, was it?
When he got it was. I'm sure.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I wonder what Thanos' sword was made out of to crack a vibranium shield.
I guess it must have also been made of vibranium, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think vibranium's supposed to only be the most powerful substance on Earth, not in the universe. And I wouldn't have been surprised if there was little one line about how his sword's made of like adamantium or something. Like, because I know they didn't have Fox yet, but they've done trades with Fox before, like for Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and Deadpool. For Negasonic Teenage Warhead's power set was owned by Marvel Disney. And
was it really? That's very random.
That was owned by Disney, and the power and the character of Peter Quill's dad, the big celestial guy, the planet Ego, that was with Fox, and they traded. So I wouldn't have been. I kind of thought maybe they'll do a little kind of licensing exchange for just the reference to adamantium for Endgame, and then that sets up for X-Men. And then obviously they would soon be in full property of X-Men anyway, so it would have perfectly worked. But yeah, if the shield wasn't cracked, it would have just made such the best sense. Would have been just great. The full gear, the full look. Because when the look's kind of cracked, it's like, it would have been better if it was complete. Then that was just great.
Going into the film, I wasn't expecting Captain America to be my favourite, because in Infinity War, he doesn't really do anything.
Yeah.
He's just also there. But then in this game, it's Endgame.
Yeah.
He's dual protagonist with Iron Man, basically.
Him and Iron Man are the two main characters, and it works in so many levels, because at the start of the film they talk about how, they reference a lot of Age of Ultron stuff about how, suit of armour on the planet, and if we lose, we'll lose together too. But they didn't lose together. I technically think they did, because Thanos' ability to just go across vast parts of space essentially meant they were involved in the same fight anyway, It wasn't like he had time to rejuvenate himself. He was just as exhausted from fighting. He was just as exhausted from fighting Iron Man and the Guardians of the Galaxy when he showed up in Wakanda. But
and when you say just as exhausted, you mean not exhausted at all?
Yeah, not exhausted at all, of course, because he was so powerful. But had he been someone who had taken such a physical pounding from Iron Man and the Guardians, when he showed up in Wakanda, it was moments later. He's in the same physical state. So essentially, they did lose together because they were fighting him at the same point in time. Essentially,
it was a weird argument. I don't really buy it, but I mean, Iron Man had been starving on a spaceship for a month.
He was kind of losing his marbles a little bit. That was really cool seeing Tony Stark all skeleton-y.
Yeah, that was wild. It was clever. Yeah.
Obviously 5 years he's rejuvenated himself.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of Fat Thor?
Oh god, okay, so we're moving back to dislike again. Is this how we're gonna do this?
Alright, well, we're just going opinion to opinion. I don't know if you like or dislike something till I ask you.
I thought that Fat Thor was a fun bit.
Yep.
For about 2 minutes.
Yep.
And then it started to get really annoying.
Right, so I thought that the kind of the it kind of makes you think, are you making fun of a fat person? No, I don't think so. But I do think that Thor being fat ruined the visual aesthetic of coolness throughout the film
Absolutely.
because we know the character isn't supposed to be fat. Like, that isn't how Thor should be. I know there's a thing in the comics where he's fat, and that was a nod to that. But he was. I didn't mind everything in New Asgard, which is supposed to be Norway, though I think they filmed it in Scotland. Then, time traveling back to Asgard in 2013 in the Dark World, and he's still fat running around. Thought it was all great. Then when he summons his armor and Stormbreaker, he should have skinnied up and he braids his hair. Like, it would have been so much better had he just sorted himself out then, because when he was in the cool black armor that he got in Infinity War and he's still fat, it wasn't that cool. I kind of thought it was a little bit lost.
He just looked like, okay, I loved Thor in Infinity War.
Yes.
I thought he was great in Infinity War, but in this film, he's the comic relief character.
I didn't mind the kind of stoner attitude that he was giving off.
It bothered me a lot.
Like,
it didn't feel like Thor at all.
When he's explaining the ether to everyone, and he just kind of starts going into a rant about how much his personal life has been destroyed over the past few years. And then like, everyone's just like, you want to, like, I think everyone else has already heard this story, so they're like, right, okay, we know this, and then Ant-Man's just sitting there like nodding along because he's never heard the story. It's like, yeah, this is really interesting, you know?
Like, I didn't mind the start. It's just, Thor to me was much more interesting at the very start of the film, where he was just really pissed.
Yeah,
that was interesting, Thor. And then when Thor comes back and he's a fat stoner, it's like, oh, this isn't nearly as interesting.
Surprised when he just cut off Thanos' head right there?
A little bit, yeah.
I kind of had always suspected time travel was going to be part of the film, but it never occurred to me that they would bring back a past version of Thanos. So I was really surprised when they cut off his head. I was like, whoa, you can't cut off his head. He's got more film to go, you know?
I mean, it was a good way to start the film. Like, oh yeah, I already accomplished my evil plan. You can kill me now. It doesn't matter.
When he walks out of the hut, I think the film, the music kind of crescendos like it did in Infinity War, and the camera fades to black. That is where Infinity War would have ended if these two films were singular.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if that is the real end of Infinity War, if it's a Thor movie, because I think the director spoke about it, how that Infinity War is about Thanos, but however, had Thor killed Thanos at the end of Infinity War, it would have all been about Thor, because the film starts with the two of them and then it ends with the two of them.
Yeah.
Had Infinity War leached out into the start of Endgame, where he beheads him on that alien planet, would have been 100% would have been a Thor film, and we would have been satisfied that Endgame could have been the rest of what Endgame is, because Endgame feels like two different films, I think. Not in a negative sense, but it does definitely feel like two different movies.
Yeah, it does. You've got the first half, which is like somber and not much action, and then the second half, which is this bombastic, ridiculous time travel action film.
Yeah, it was almost like a character piece, the first half of the film.
Yeah, totally.
100% about the characters, and there was a point where Tony Stark was in his house and he was inventing the time travel stuff, and there was a part where he was speaking to Pepper. I thought, Christ, this is really weird for a comic book movie where there's not been a lot of action yet.
Yeah,
and it didn't bother me at all. I was in for it. I loved it.
I was looking around like, man, the kids are going to be so bored by this bit, but this is way more interesting.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, this is really interesting. I'm fully invested in Tony Stark right now. But man, the kids are going to hate this. They won't know what's going on. They're here for Iron Man and Hulk smashing things. Speaking of Hulk.
Yep, I was just about to say that.
Speaking of
Bruce Banner Hulk.
Professor Hulk. Speaking of Mr. Fix-It.
Contrary to silly Thor, I really liked Bruce Banner Hulk. Or he's just Bruce Banner, but he's the Hulk now.
So did I. I knew at some point Professor Hulk was coming. I knew at some point in the MCU they were going to do this. Didn't expect it to be how we see him immediately. in Endgame where he's just that's happened now in the 5 years. I was quite surprised, caught me off guard. It was like almost like a gentle giant with a mental disorder that was like really spaced out and he'd let go of all his inhibitions. Because it was kind of unsettling at first as well. Like the way he was smiling to everyone and being like, hi, hi. Because I always thought if they go down the Professor Hulk storyline, they'll keep the same tone and sound of voice that they had in Ragnarok. Not to that, because obviously with better sentence structure, but the deep voice, the deep rah 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 voice.
But no, it's just Mark Ruffalo like, hey, I'm the Hulk.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna help you build your time travel machine.
I'm gonna help. Yeah, I was like, whoa, this is trippy. Because he wasn't at all what I thought he would sound like.
No, I did expect him to have the deeper voice. I guess it's just because it's easier. It makes more sense than having the deep Hulk voice.
I think this Hulk is also not as big as past Hulk as well.
He does look a bit smaller.
Yeah, he doesn't look as muscly as well. Like, I loved the bit when they first time travelled back to 2012 and he sees 2012 Hulk smashing and running around and killing everyone. And he's like, oh, this is so embarrassing. And he like rips off his shirt and he's like, you might want to smash some things. And he just like, bangs on the roof of a taxi or stuff. Yeah, he's like, ah. So he just, it's like when you look at a video of yourself from a night out and you're just, oh, Jesus Christ, this is so bad. I can never do this in a stable state of mind,
No, you know what? It's great because I've always preferred Bruce Banner to the Hulk as a character. So
as a character, yeah, Bruce Banner's always more interesting. So it is good to see Professor Hulk now we can have the best of both worlds.
Was there another character I didn't like in this that we could flip back to?
The Wasp.
She's in it for 5 seconds.
I know. I feel like she was there just because everyone was there, not because it made any sense at all.
Yeah, she just shows up.
When did she have
There's Wasp.
When did she have time to suit up? Like she was on the roof in San Francisco with Michelle Pfeiffer and Michael Douglas. When did she have time to suit up and know that we've got to go to upstate New York
The wizards
on the other side of the country?
The wizards, they teleported everyone there.
All the Sorcerer Supremes, because Wong was just sitting on his ass until Doctor Strange showed up.
We don't know that Wong didn't get evaporated.
Yeah, we did.
Did we?
Yeah, they were showing all the pictures of people who died at the start and he wasn't there. And also Marvel released a bunch of posters with people who were still alive and who were dead, and the people who were dead were greyed out. He had a colour poster.
Oh, not that it mattered. He didn't show up until everyone else showed up.
Not that it mattered. He very well just could have been Ash and no one would have noticed.
Can we talk about the poster, by the way, and how it lies?
How does it lie?
Well, first off, it doesn't show Fat Thor on it. It shows proper Thor.
He is proper Thor for a part of the film.
For like the first 15 minutes.
Also, that'd be a big spoiler.
Yeah, they also don't show the Hulk. They show the Hulkbuster armor that
Do they?
Bruce Banner was wearing. Yeah.
Oh.
They also indicate that maybe Captain Marvel is going to be a bigger part of the film, which he's not.
A bigger part of the film with long hair.
Also suggests that Okoye is going to be a bigger part of the film, which he probably should have been.
Well,
I don't know why she wasn't.
Don't you remember the controversy around her? Like, she was on the poster, but and her name was at the bottom with every single other person that's in the film, because contractually she's got to be, but she never had her name at the top of the poster, like with all the big stars like Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans and stuff. And everyone got really pissed off because they thought it was like
it's because she's only in the film for 5 seconds.
Oh, right, okay, yeah. But what I learned was it turns out to get your name at the top of a poster as well as at the bottom, where it's got to be at the bottom, if you get it in the top, that's an extra set of negotiations. Like it's got to be at the bottom because it's like a union thing for you being in the film. Mm-hmm. But for it to be at the top is like an advertisement piece. That's just a separate negotiating thing. You've got to negotiate separately. And people just assumed that she didn't care because obviously she wasn't in the film that much. But people who thought, well, she's on the front of the poster, she should have her name at the top because she's a black person of colour, and it feels like, let's get more quality on this shit. And she wasn't really in the film at all, so it was completely stupid. and Marvel had
I
to go
think
out
she
and
should have been in the film more.
I think she should have been in the film more, but she just wasn't. So people losing their shit at the poster need to wait and see the product.
I don't understand why she wasn't part of the time travel squad.
Because she was looking after things in Wakanda.
Yeah, but
why wasn't Captain Marvel in the time travel squad?
Captain Marvel wasn't because she was off saving the galaxy or whatever. I bought that, but put Okoye on the time travel squad.
I wouldn't have complained.
You want to talk about?
I wouldn't have
about feminism. Put another female character in the main cast, for God's sake.
I wouldn't have complained had she been there, but it was clearly supposed to be about the original people. I know Rhodey was there, though, and Rocket was there.
And Ant-Man was a pretty major character in the film, which I actually liked quite a lot.
So did I. It was quite weird seeing everyone wearing Ant-Man armor, because essentially they were.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking, man, this film's going to be... I didn't realise this film was going to lean in so heavily to Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah, because there was a plot reason for him to be there. And there was a plot reason for War Machine and Rocket and Nebula to be there. There wasn't... I wouldn't have minded if Okoye was there, full honesty. I think Okoye is probably my favourite character in Black Panther. And if...
Yeah, she's great.
She's not my favourite character in Infinity War. Infinity War is laden with a lot of great characters. But I didn't, honestly, I didn't miss her. I thought that when she shows up on like the hologram stuff, where it looks like the Avengers have become reformed into like a global peacekeeping initiative again, and Black Widow's become like the admin lady that's coordinating it all, and Captain Marvel even shows up on the screen to check in every once in a while. I thought this is the best we've ever seen Black Widow. Well,
yeah, Black Widow was great in this film.
Black Widow was amazing in this film. I thought Scarlett Johansson also did the best acting of Black Widow ever.
Oh yeah, she was really good as well.
This film cements her getting a film.
Which is weird, given that she dies.
Prequel. I kind of always knew it was going to prequel in my heart of hearts.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be with her time at S.H.I.E.L.D. and Nick Fury's probably going to be in it.
I think it's going to start off with her being a bad one. It's going to be like the Venom of the MCU. She's going to be working for the Russians.
She's going to be in the KGB or whatever.
Yeah.
She's going to have a bad Russian accent.
And Hawkeye is going to save her. And then they're going to finish the film in Budapest. which gets name dropped in this film as well. A long way since Budapest.
Of course it does.
Long ways. You know, there's a part of this film that really, really hits you in the feels. And see, just as when they time travel, before they time travel, because obviously when they time travel, all the teams get split up. She says to Cap, see you in a minute. She never comes back.
Nope.
She's very sad.
Well, here's the thing. It's kind of dramatic irony, because they're going to get the Soul Stone. Yeah. It's like, well, one of them has to die.
I thought that was amazing. I never knew who was going to die right up until she did.
As soon as I realised it was Hawkeye and Black Widow going, I was like, oh, it's going to be Black Widow, because Hawkeye has a wife and kids that he has to look after.
That's exactly why he killed Hawkeye. He's got so much to live for, and that's all he wants in his life. He wants his family back. But he gives it up to save the universe. That's your dramatic tension there. That's why he's got the family. That's why Joss Whedon fell out with the MCU, because he fought to have Hawkeye's family in Age of Ultron. And Kevin Feige was like, okay, it doesn't really make sense for this film, but we'll allow it as long as you set up the seeds for Thor Ragnarok. Which, of course, he did with the pulls and the flashbacks, or the flash forwards, with the Scarlet Witch visions. So it kind of all paid off. It worked excellently, and when they were fighting for who sacrifices themselves, great. I thought that scene on Vormir was so much better than the Thanos Gamora scene on Vormir.
The Thanos Gamora scene was still good, though.
It was good, but it was such a drawn out scene where when we talk about what did you say, it was dramatic irony or something, where the audience is ahead. Yeah. The audience are ahead of the character. Everyone in the theatre. Everyone knew, okay, after it was explained, Thanos is chucking Gamora off of that cliff. But she didn't, and she's like going, you failed because you didn't love anyone, and this is your greatest failure because you can never feel for anything, and now it's finally came to bite you in the back because, you there's nothing you love more than yourself, and you're not going to kill yourself to achieve your goal. And then everyone's like, talking about you, clearly talking about you here, Gamora. And then Red Skull is like, those tears aren't for him, they're for you, thrown over. I thought it was, maybe went on for 30 seconds too long. But here in the Endgame, between Hawkeye and Black Widow, it was perfect for Ronan and Black Widow, because the daughter is now going to be Hawkeye.
Can we talk about Gamora?
Yeah, we can talk about Gamora.
I thought this was a weird send-off for her character.
This was the exact opposite of a send-off. This was the rebirth.
Exactly, but she isn't reborn though.
Yeah.
She's still dead at the end of the film.
No, she isn't. She's alive.
No, there's the past version of her, but...
Yeah, the past version. The Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2 and Infinity War version is gone. Though I think the younger version of Gamora is going to kind of grow into that character eventually anyway.
But she doesn't stay in the future though, does she?
She does.
She's not in any of the scenes afterwards.
She does stay in the future, but she flees. That's why at the end, when Thor says he's going to join the Guardians of the Galaxy, they're going to be the Asgardians of the Galaxy, just as they go inside the Guardians ship, the camera starts off on Peter Quill, and he's like reading a computer screen. There's a picture of Gamora, and it says searching, and it says no results found, because she's like fleed. She left, she ran.
I thought that was just him looking for his version of Gamora.
No, the picture...
And hoping that she was still alive.
The picture had like a Endgame look over, like her hair was more fiery in the outfit she was wearing. Because the pink ends to Gamora's hair kind of wasn't so prominent in the Guardians version, but in this new version from the younger self, from the start of the first Guardians film, it's a lot more colourful.
Wow. I didn't take it that way, because we never see her after the main fight, so...
Yeah, she thinks she's done a runner, because she doesn't care about anyone there. She's now... Nebula and Gamora have essentially switched roles, you know? But I knew Loki and Gamora, there's going to be... I wouldn't even be... And Wanda, Vision's still going to have a TV show, apparently, with Wanda, so I knew there was going to be some way to bring them back. But no, Gamora's still out there. And I think this also gets a chance to kind of undo some of the mistakes that we've had with Gamora. They always talk about how she's like, or they did in the first Guardians film, talk about how she's supposed to be one of the fiercest warriors in the galaxy. I don't know about you, but we never kind of saw it. In my opinion, in the other Guardians of the Galaxy films, she's a competent fighter, but she's nothing remarkable.
I don't know, she always came across as pretty badass.
Gamora was always my least favourite member of the Guardians of the Galaxy, and that's saying something because I'm not a fan of Peter Quill. I say this right now to the listeners. I've never been a big Guardians of the Galaxy fan. Full stop. Infinity War is when I just started to like them. And I don't know. I don't know. I appreciate the films are well made. James Gunn does a fabulous job with them. I own them on home media, and I've watched them a few times since their cinema run. But
Guardians Volume 2 is one of my favourite MCU films.
I think Guardians Volume 2 is a lot better than Guardians Volume 1, though. Though I appreciate it's a lot more comedic than the first one, and at the same time I bitch about the first one for its weird comedic tone. Maybe it just was how they were handling the jokes in the first one, because I felt like it didn't know what it wanted to be. If it wanted to be serious, it wanted to be funny, and the second one knew what it wanted to be. And Guardians, see if they stop making Guardians, I'd be fine. I don't really care. Though for my sake of my love of trilogies,
set up so that the next Guardians film has Thor in it. So
yeah, for the sake of trilogies, Jesus, I make the third Guardians film, make the third Ant-Man film, and just be done with it.
They can never be done with it, Nathan. The MCU train never stops. This isn't the end game.
I know, Jesus Christ.
This is just the beginning of Phase 4.
Technically, the ending of this isn't even the end of Phase 3. The end of Phase 3 is Spider-Man 2. Which is weird. Which is so weird. Endgame is the perfect stop point, and they're like, well, there's all the films we've announced up until, so we'll just say Spider-Man Far From Home is the end. But, Kyle, see if that was it. If Endgame was the end of MCU films, would you be happy with that?
Yeah, I think so. I think it is.
Yeah.
If anyone wanted to stop watching the MCU after this would be like a good point to do it.
Yeah, this is a very kind of okay, we're done point. I agree completely.
It's a satisfying end, but it's also it has plenty of setups to continue. So
yeah, it's your Return of the King or Return of the Jedi moment. You know, it's very kind of conclusion to the story. We're done. It's, you know, we could make more because this will make a lot of money.
No, Nathan, it's going to be outperformed by The Lion King.
Jesus Christ, it's not happening. This film's almost at $1 billion in its opening weekend. Jesus Christ. I'm not even going to humour it. Clearly, that's just not going to happen. I'm still on board with Endgame, clearly, obviously. But if after, you know, Spider-Man, they just decided that, okay, we're, you know, all these characters are just kind of done, and we'll revisit them soon, we're just going to take a break, like when they finish the Star Wars trilogies as a break. I don't expect to see an Avengers film for quite some time. I
don't think there will be an Avengers film for a
while.
I
expect the next time we get an Avengers film, the X-Men will exist. Or at least the Fantastic Four will, anyway.
Or both.
And I still don't know who the big bad could be, because this film didn't have an end credits.
That's true. I mean, it has to be Galactus, right?
I've always thought it's got to be Galactus. It's got to be Galactus, because that's the one that they haven't touched in such a long time. They did Galactus in the second Fantastic Four movie.
And it was an evil cloud.
An evil cloud that I think there's like a thunderstorm inside it, and briefly you kind of see like the outline of Galactus. That's supposed to be more of an Easter egg and not the true form. But yeah, and then obviously they just did Apocalypse with X-Men, and I hope Apocalypse is actually better than the X-Men Apocalypse version of Apocalypse, because I didn't like that version.
Are you saying you're not looking forward to Dark Phoenix?
Oh god, yes, Kyle, that's exactly what I'm saying. Dark Phoenix, God. I'm happy that it's going to be over. I'm happy that it's getting a conclusion, because Apocalypse wasn't a conclusion. I would rather have Dark Phoenix than not, even if it's going to be shit. I don't care if it's going to be bad, it's just nice to have a...
I haven't watched an X-Men film since X-Men 3.
Oh, you're missing out. Some of the First Class movies are great. Days of Future Past is my favourite X-Men film. I mean, I love the part with Quicksilver, because unlike in Age of Ultron, he doesn't actually die. I wouldn't have been surprised if Quicksilver came back for Endgame, to be honest, with the amount of characters they brought back. Like, I got genuine chills.
You did not see that coming?
I got genuine chills in the cinema when Cap's lying down and Thanos is talking about how the destruction of Earth is going to be... He's going to enjoy it. It's never been personal, but he's going to really enjoy it. And then you hear on the comms, like, Falcon. I knew it was Falcon. I immediately heard it. Yeah. Some people were like, oh, we didn't know who it was because it was too graggly.
And they have the little throwback to Winter Soldier.
On your left.
Like, on your left.
On your left. So great. And it's just silence, no music, and you just hear Doctor Strange portals, mystic portals opening up. And everyone walking, and you see Black Panther and Okoye and Shuri walking through, which is fine. People love Black Panther.
It should have been Falcon, though.
Should have been Falcon, because he
It should have been Falcon first.
Yeah, it should have been Falcon first. Yeah, that is why I'm saying that's fine. But it should have been Falcon. Then you see Falcon kind of fly through all the portals. Why would you go back through the portal to Wakanda? You know, like, you just fly in and out the portals. And then, you know, everyone's coming through. Wasp comes through. Rescue comes through.
Mm-hmm.
It's so cool.
Okay, I was fine with Pepper Potts coming into the action, but it felt really out of character for Pepper Potts to do that.
I just justified it.
Her entire
with Iron Man
existence has been to tell Iron Man to stop being Iron Man, and then end of the film, she's like, I'll join in the fight. Why not?
5 years have passed. Half the world's extinct. Iron Man was justified in his fear. She's changed her tone. Iron Man 3 also happened, and she got badass and stuff and that. She knew how to use the armour. I'm fine with it, completely fine with it. And then they all line up in Iron Man. Captain America says it. Avengers assemble. And the two armies just run at each other. And it's so cool. If this was DC, they would have put all of that in the trailer. All of that was in
If this was DC, it would have been crap.
Honestly, because I actually don't think this film is beyond DC's ability. I love Endgame, but I think it's just a really good DC movie at best, or maybe it's more than that. But because the characters are what make it, not the action.
Yeah. And DC's not great at
No, yeah,
characters.
that's what I mean. I meant from an action standpoint, from a character standpoint, no. But all of that, like I just think of the trailers for Aquaman with the massive underwater battle at the end. Like that is the climax of the film. It's just all over the trailers, which I get they had to because there was no stakes in that, man. No one cared about Ant-Man. And people cared about the MCU, and I'm like, yeah, if this was DC, the bit where Thor like smacks down Stormbreaker, and like it causes a big lightning shock to go through the ground and it kills a bunch of people, in the trailer. Captain Marvel in the trailer. Valkyrie riding Pegasus in the trailer. Probably not Rescue for some reason. I think there's little bits like that they would leave out, but there's like the big kind of spectacle moments.
Yeah, but they didn't. All the trailers for that, I only saw the first one, I think, but they're all quite subdued, right? With not a lot of action in them.
They claimed in all the trailers only showing stuff from the first 20 minutes of the film, which is bullshit. You know, they clearly watched those trailers again, and that was not the case. But there's a lot of stuff from like the end of the film and the fight in the Avengers complex with Cap like tightening his shield and stuff. And it's they hide it well though, because you don't think there's a big battle. Like you see a bit with skinny Thor and Iron Man and Captain America all walking up to Thanos when he's sitting down with his sword and his helmet.
Yeah.
But you don't know there's going to be a massive battle of every single Avenger because the snap is undone. You know. So it was so great. They marketed this film perfectly. It's the most expensive marketing campaign for a film ever.
It was so great that immediately when they all came back, they were all main characters again. Like Spider-Man, he's got like a huge bit in the action scene where he's running around with the Infinity Gauntlets. Yeah, it's Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's Spider-Man. You're not going to bitch at Spider-Man. People were like, why did the other characters not get enough screen time? I appreciated that they were really trying to focus in on the core set. No one has a specific... like. Spider-Man has a connection with Iron Man and Captain America. Doctor Strange has a connection with Iron Man. Black Panther doesn't really have much connection with anyone. Neither does Captain Marvel. Neither does Shuri or...
It's not their film.
Winter Soldier. The Winter Soldier was there, but I don't think he had a line.
No, he talked with Captain America right at the end of the film.
No, I know, but like, did
Just
he write...
before he went in the time machine.
Did he write in the fight, though? In the fight. He was in the fight.
Look, it's fine. He's getting a TV show now.
Yeah, I know. So I thought the whole thing was just amazing. It was great fight. And then, at the end, Captain Marvel shows up, and all the guns are like, they start training themselves into the sky.
That was pretty cool.
And, there's something has entered the atmosphere. What is it? I was really stupid. Maybe so really tired. I didn't know it was going to be Captain Marvel. Honestly, I thought of everything else apart from Captain Marvel. I forgot she was in the film when they used her so little. I was like, is it going to be Hugh Jackman as Wolverine? Him like raining down from the sky, jumping out of the X-Men jet with Ian McKellen flying next to him, and like Patrick Stewart as Professor X. I would have cried. I would have been so excited if that happened. I don't care that it didn't make sense. I would have been ecstatic. I would have been inconsolable had that happened.
See, Captain Marvel is just... She's cool. She's so overpowered. It's ridiculous.
Again, what? Yeah.
Like, obviously, people are like, oh, she can't Why couldn't she one hit kill Thanos? I mean, really, she one hit kill a giant spaceship.
Yeah, but
she can't kill Thanos.
I guess she can fly through a spaceship because spaceships. I know a spaceship looks cool and has powerful warheads on it, but it's just a bulk of metal, really, with engines. That's got no sentience or capability to deflect something. Thanos is a Titan who's the son of a Celestial. He's like on par with Peter Quill at the end of Guardians 2, but like all the time. And Thanos did. She effectively did hold him in a headlock at the start of the film before he gets beheaded, but he's powered down. And then she almost does, like, he headbutts her and she doesn't flinch. And then
that was kind of
she almost does get the gauntlet off him. He just takes the Power Stone out of it into his other hand and just power punches her away, and I thought that was great. Even before that, he picks, when she's trying to swing around his neck, he rips her off him by her leg with one arm and throws her away. And she comes back really quickly, obviously. But Thanos is really powerful even without the gauntlet, you know, as a
He
physical
did
presence.
get wrecked by Scarlet Witch, though.
Wrecked by Scarlet Witch, absolutely got. That's why he ordered the missiles to fire from his ship. He got his arm armor ripped off, and he was being held up. It was great, absolutely great.
I will say, the big bad fight with Thanos at the end, it was lacking some emotional impact because it was a past version of Thanos, I think.
Yeah, I kind of felt that as well, because, like, you know, she's like, you took everything from me, and he's like, I don't even know who you are. Yeah. I had been thinking that the whole fight. I was like, he doesn't know who any of these people are. He left, at least the Infinity War version of Thanos, where a few years had passed. He knew who everyone was. There was an equal stake in this fight. See, when he's on Earth at the end, and he's like, you know, it was never personal what I did. You know, it was this journey, but I'm really going to enjoy destroying your planet.
It's like, why?
Why? That makes sense for old Thanos to say that, because he's been through everything. All these people have done to you is destroy your army in New York in 2012.
You know that they kill you in the future?
Yeah, you've seen
but it didn't seem to bother you that much.
Yeah, so I mean, I thought, you know, and then obviously he snaps. He essentially wins again almost. He does snap his fingers, and the Infinity Stones weren't in the gauntlet. Thanos is really, really powerful. If the stones were in that gauntlet, he won again. You know, Iron Man was just lucky enough that for some reason he has magnets in his new armor that attracts the stones. Because it's not even like he stole them out of the gauntlet and put them in little dots along his armor. When the shot went to him, it looked like they were crawling up his arm. It was like, what is the nanotech, like holding them like ants and, you know, carrying them up? And then, you know, he's like, I am inevitable. And then Tony Stark, I am
Iron Man.
Iron Man.
I was really hoping that Black Sabbath would start playing right at that point. I guess that would have been too cheesy. That would have been
way too cheesy. My eyes would roll back in my head. I thought that was so cool. That was so cool. That's the last line in the first Iron Man film, and it was the last, you know, line he said at full power before he started to die. So cool. It was so cool. Of course it was going to be Iron Man that killed Thanos. Of course it was going to be.
Yeah.
I don't care that Captain America is the heart and soul of the MCU now. I don't care that Captain Marvel is the new powerful badass in the field. I don't care if Scarlet Witch is...
Iron Man's the first, Iron Man's the last.
Iron Man gets
it's a thematic thing.
Yeah. I always knew Iron Man had to die. People thought it was crazy. I said, Cap's story has been from being the yes sir, no sir soldier from the first Avenger to going into the ice and coming back out and seeing the Avengers, and then in the Winter Soldier he becomes the more kind of skeptical questioning of what is right with the, you know, Nick Fury and S.H.I.E.L.D. and everything. He isn't sure about the orders he's been asked to do.
And then in Civil War, he just becomes a hero for the people.
Yeah, in Civil War, he's actively against the government. You know, like, that's the two sides, government and against the government. Then, you know, so I was like, okay, after that, that's the story complete. He can die, I guess, but I think he can retire. But he's had his full circle.
Which is what they do.
Yeah, ever since Avengers, Iron Man has had, like, PTSD from the Chitauri. And in Iron Man 3 has all the panic attacks and the guilt. In Age of Ultron, you know, he wants Ultron to be a suit of armor to protect the Earth from these dangers. You know, he always feels guilty. You know, everything he does is all guilt driven. In Civil War, it's about you know, he wants the Sokovia Accords in place to protect people against superheroes because of all the damage that they have caused. He blames himself. He had to go out sacrificing himself. That was always how it was going to be. And right before the film started, I'd been getting kind of persuaded by some of my friends for a while about how that wouldn't happen. This is Iron Man will become the elder statesman that will train everyone, or advise everyone, and Captain America will die because he's Captain America. He's the soldier. He's the guy's guy. And right as the film started, when we had final bets, I changed my mind. I agreed with them. And then the film ended, and I was like, I fucking knew I was right from day one. I knew I was right that was going to happen. Why did I change them? Why did I listen to these people who, no offence if they ever listen to this, don't know how story structures work?
I was satisfied with the conclusion to Captain America's story. It was kind of sad seeing him as an old man and like knowing that he won't be in the films anymore. But
there is a long period of time between the 40s and seeing him in the early 2020s.
I don't
where
think
he
we'll see
can
him
have
in another
a
film.
Captain America set in the 50s and 60s. I personally do not think Captain America is having another solo film, or with Chris Evans anyway. We can talk about what we might think will happen in the future. But I do think that there will be a story where we see Chris Evans again, because now time travel's had the door opened. And, you know, what year is it? 2019? In 2029, they can just do a time travel story where Chris Evans comes back and it'd be a big part of the marketing campaign, just for one film or two films, for, you know, the next big Galactus story, whatever the Avengers will be fighting. And he can play Captain America at that age, because, you know, they can just say, oh, they time travel back to the 60s and he's 10 years older or whatever, you know. So I'm perfectly okay with Chris Evans showing up again. Iron Man showing up again, people were like, Robert Downey Jr. can play as, you know, the character as an AI. That happened in the comic books.
Does this movie retcon Agent Peggy Carter?
Jarvis from Agent Carter showed up.
I know, I'm just saying, like, does it not just kind of nullify that entire show?
Nah, because that was to do with, like, the founding of S.H.I.E.L.D. and she's a woman, and she can just have the boy toy at home the whole time. You know, that's a different reality. That all still happened. This is a different timeline, different reality.
You know, I was thinking with the ending too, like, remember in Civil War when they tried to put Steve Rogers and Peggy Carter's niece together?
Agent 13, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's... Whoops.
Oh, whoops.
Oh, well.
Nothing ever happened with that, which is a shame. If they kept him in, like, modern days and he never went back with Peggy, that should have went somewhere. Because I really liked Agent 13, you know, in Winter Soldier and Civil War. But nah, nothing ever happened with her. So does that mean that Steve Rogers is now her uncle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does.
Different reality. That nothing ever actually happened in that timeline. Like, it isn't a predestination paradox where, like, where, you know, stuff was destined to happen, or, you know, the butterfly effect. None of that matters in the MCU, because in the MCU that's just not how time travel works. It's just new different alternate realities now, which is how we're going to get into, like, you know how in the comics you've got, like, Earth 616 and Earth 434 and there's, like, different versions. This is now how that happens. That is now how it happens. The MCU
has a designation in that whole system, I think.
Does it?
I can't remember what it is, though. But it is part of that whole multiverse stuff.
Now that's going to happen. Now the multiverse has been opened up. We're going to have a multiverse where Loki stole the cube, and a multiverse where, you know, Thanos never had the snap undone. One where Thanos fights with the Avengers. It's a comic book line, I'm sure, where Thanos fights with the Avengers against I don't know who. That'll be a thing that exists. They can literally do anything now. And I think it kind of devalues the stories now.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you think they'll go down that road?
I don't think they're going to actively go down it, but I think if they ever reach a point with the story they want to tell, they now have a way to tell it.
I think for the next couple of films, it's going to be sort of individual worlds not at stake kind of movies, like Spider-Man,
Far From Home, Mysterio, nice Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's...
I hope they're building up Spider-Man for Sinister Six. They've been trying to do a Sinister Six since 2008. Spider-Man 3 with Tobey Maguire, they had all those villains in it for, you know, Spider-Man 4 was going to have the Sinister Six. The Amazing Spider-Man, there were so many people in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 because they wanted to start to set up the Sinister Six. I hope that, because Falcon isn't dead, not Falcon, Vulture from Homecoming, he isn't dead.
No.
Scorpion was in that, the character.
I feel like Vulture was kind of redeemed, though, by the end of the film.
Yeah, I think he was more not ratting out Peter Parker as, like, a respect for your daughter. Like how Jon Snow doesn't kill Theon because of how he helped Sansa.
I don't know, I can't see that particular Vulture joining a team of supervillains.
I can. He's still a bad guy, in my opinion. He's just doing someone a favour of kind of like guy honour. I hope to hell we get a Sinister Six. I wouldn't be surprised if before we get another Avengers we get a Sinister Six. Because I think that Fantastic Four and X-Men are big, hefty storylines. You open them up and you're going to be in that for another 10 years. Like, opening up the X-Men is going to be the equivalent of Iron Man 1 to Avengers Endgame. That's a big thing when you open up the X-Men. I think we need a Sinister Six film before then.
Here's what I hope when they start X-Men again, is that they put less focus on Wolverine this time. I mean, I love Wolverine, but let's face it, they're never going to cast someone as good as Hugh Jackman in that role.
You're going to bring back Hugh Jackman, Kyle? God.
So, whoever they do with this new cast, I hope they put a little bit more team focus as opposed to Wolverine's the main character in every film.
Originally, when they made the X-Men films, they never knew Wolverine was going to be the big popular person he became. People he was just supposed to be the protagonist to get them into the universe, and everyone loved him. And that's why they brought him back as a main character for X2 and stuff. Because they originally did think they were making an ensemble piece. They thought they were making a Star Trek: The Next Generation type film, where it's a group of main characters. And obviously, then people did just lose their rails with Wolverine. And originally, the X-Men do apparently focus on the Cyclops and stuff. Like Cyclops is the main X-Men. And I think Jean Grey as well.
Cyclops is really boring in the films, though.
Yeah, I think that's mainly because they had to dull him down so that Wolverine was more appealing.
Yeah, they need to. Everyone thinks of Cyclops as the boring one now, so they need to kind of fix that.
Before Iron Man from the comics was a C class superhero. No one cared about Iron Man.
I know.
Now Iron Man is like one of the biggest characters in comic book and in fandom. You know, everyone knows Robert Downey Jr. plays Iron Man. I think they could really easily invent certain characters and have them be absolutely massive. I do happen to think though, like how the thing about mutants are they're supposed to be an allegory for the civil rights movement, and you know,
you already did that with Black Panther.
No, it like he was, you know, Martin Luther King was supposed to be Professor X and Malcolm X was Magneto, and they've been around forever, and it's been like a struggle for fighting for civil rights.
Well, here's the thing.
In the MCU, mutants haven't been around forever. Also, now you can't have a Magneto that was a victim of a Nazi concentration camp because he's too old.
Do you try and retcon it into the whole Inhumans thing?
With
because the Inhumans are well established in the MCU already.
And
even if it's not in films.
Yeah, I think that's gonna. That is a question. That is a good point, actually. Because I'd always thought that, like from back to Civil War and stuff, or Quicksilver when he showed up in Age of Ultron. Mm-hmm. How do you work it? Because they're clearly not in the MCU, and they couldn't use the word mutant because of licensing rights, so they had to use Inhuman only applies to a superhero team, but they used to apply it to everyone. And the Inhumans are quite big things, but in the film,
there are mutants.
In the films, they're never even referenced, which is such a. Like, I always think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. gets all the love, but it's such a one-way relationship in comparison to everything else.
Just for 1 second of briefness, I was thinking they need a spaceship in this film. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they've got a spaceship. But I was hoping for far too much.
I wonder how the new season of Avengers S.H.I.E.L.D. is going to tie up this, because Thanos got like one name drop in the last season.
He did. They talked about it was happening during the last season.
Yeah.
So the next season has to either they all got dusted and it starts 5 years later, or they do it during the time skip.
Yeah. Which would be weird seeing it when like the Earth's like just. At least they'll save a lot of money on extras.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to do that though.
No, it will be a 5-year jump, and they won't even mention it. I wouldn't be surprised if they never mention a 5-year jump. Well, I suppose in the trailers there's an evil Coulson, and they could be like, it's been 5 years since Coulson died. Now he's back. Ta-da! But
we're getting off topic here.
We're getting off topic.
We're talking about our side love of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Which more people should watch.
I don't know. See, and what were we talking about with it in relation to Endgame there? Oh, the mutants?
We were talking about X-Men. We were way off topic.
Way off topic. With X-Men, X-Men are supposed to be around for decades, and I just don't know how you can do that. And again, like I said, Nazi concentration camp, Magneto was way too old now. He was pushing being too old when they did it the first time with Magneto, but it worked. He is just factually too old now, in my opinion. Especially if you want to make another 10 movies with someone playing Magneto. Ian McKellen could get someone of the age.
You know how they could do that?
10 films.
They could say that it was Hydra, and then there you go. You fixed it.
Oh. Some people thought maybe they would have they can have Magneto maybe be like Korean, and he can have been in like a North Korean concentration camp.
I think that would be changing it too much for the fanboys.
I don't know. What's her face? The ancient one, supposed to be an old Chinese man, became a
That's
bald white
true.
woman. And they're making that Shang-Li film. It's like
Huh?
the Asian martial arts character. He's supposed to kind of be like an Iron Fist type character, but they're making that, and that's coming out in the next couple of years. It's an MCU film.
Oh, I haven't heard about this.
Right.
Do you think it'll star Scorch, the best supervillain?
I can barely remember Scorch. He was Australian, right?
I am Scorch. No, he was Chinese, I think.
I can't remember, honestly. It was so long
He was in
ago.
the first season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, exactly.
Scorch.
That's no. I think that maybe if they said it in like the 90s, because they wouldn't know when it's going to be set, we can get like a little Black Widow cameo, and that will lead into her film, and then maybe the Winter Soldier can show up because he's like a Hydra assassin at this time. I think there's so much potential for the Black Widow movie and this other movie because it's also about kind of agents and martial arts and stuff. There's not a superpower involved, I don't think.
I do think it's kind of weird that they're still doing a Black Widow movie now that she's dead. I mean, I know it's a prequel and all, but it's still weird to give a prequel to a character who's died.
Well, I think that's why they put so much
Solo.
Yeah, but my criticism with Solo isn't the fact that we're getting a one so long after, so short of a time after he died. It's we're getting it such a short time after the character died with a different actor. If we got another one with Harrison Ford, I'd be fine with it.
Well, here was my thought as well. Captain America, he had to return all the Infinity Stones, right?
Yeah.
So when he returned it, do you not get to trade backsies? No.
Do you not get questions? How the hell did you get these stones, sir? None of your business.
You have to sacrifice something to get the stone, but do you not get to redeem something when you put the stone back? No, that's not how it works.
For the Soul Stone and Vormir. Oh, I don't know. Probably not. You probably just walk up to Red Skull and be like, here you go, sir. Thank you. Thanks for the stone.
I just had an idea.
Go ahead.
What if the Black Widow film is Black Widow and Gamora just chilling around in space because they were brought back when Steve Rogers returned the stone?
There's a theory as Guardians of the Galaxy. Oh, yawn. Ah, God. There's a theory that in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, or as Guardians of the Galaxy 3, they're going to be going to the Soul Realm. That's like a place you can go to to get Gamora, like the real Gamora.
Okay.
And maybe Black Widow will be there too. And they save Black Widow, and Black Widow and Thor join the Guardians of the Galaxy.
I do think that the next film is gonna. I would be surprised if it doesn't involve some way with bringing back Gamora.
The search for.
It seems like that's a natural.
The search for
search
Gamora.
for Gamora. Yeah.
Da 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 da.
That is exactly what I was thinking.
It's like the end of the Winter Soldier. It's the search for Bucky.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's. A lot of people don't like it when you bring characters back from the dead. It doesn't bother me too much.
Undoes the point of the death. It doesn't bother me in most cases. I'm pretty chill with it. But I do think there's characters like Gamora that should have stayed dead. Characters, as much as I love Loki, should have stayed dead. Vision, I've liked with each growing film, should have stayed dead. Did stay dead. Well, we'll see when that film comes out, won't we?
TV show, yeah.
Yeah, Earth TV show. I have a question about the TV shows. If Falcon is now Captain America, why is the show called Falcon Winter Soldier?
It's a good question. You think it's going to be... I think that's one of the only ones that will be not a prequel. I think that will be the adventures of Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
But not Chris Evans as Captain America, not Steve Rogers.
And it'll basically be like a buddy cop show with the Winter Soldier and Falcon.
Though he's not even the Winter Soldier anymore. Who is he now? He's technically the White Wolf.
I think he's still the Winter Soldier. I mean,
too much negative connotation around that name. Oh, look at me, I'm the Winter Soldier, and feel like you killed my family. Well, sorry.
I love the fact that he's just chosen to never cut his hair. He's like, yeah, I'll just keep the long hair.
Yeah.
Why not?
I loved the Winter Soldier callbacks in Endgame with when they're in the elevator and it's just like the Winter Soldier
Oh,
scene.
that was so great, and he whispers in Sitwell's ear like, "Hail Hydra."
Hail Hydra.
Was that a reference to the comic book that everyone hated?
Yeah, where it got really memed as well, where it's like Captain America standing in like a jet plane. He's like Hail Hydra with like red eyes or something. Yeah, I think it was a reference to that. And me and my friend who I was sitting with, we looked at each other and just smiled. We were like, that's so cool that they're referencing that, you know. And I liked how strike team in the elevator just all looked at each other and were like, we didn't know he was Hydra. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, out you go. I honestly thought they were gonna just redo the fight.
So did I, because it opens up exactly the same.
It's the same camera shots.
Yeah.
It's the same angle. Honestly, see if you were to cut those two scenes from Endgame and the Winter Soldiers together and you put different shots in different films, I think if you didn't pause it, you wouldn't notice one shot as actually from another film.
Well, was he wearing his Winter Soldier outfit?
No, he was
scene?
wearing he wore his Winter Soldier outfit at the start when they went to kill Thanos.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I don't know why he wore it there, but he did.
To replay the hits, and in my opinion, that's the best Captain America outfit. I really like the Endgame outfit though. I
like the Endgame outfit.
The Endgame uniform is great, and the scaling on it makes it look comics.
I like the fight scene between Captain America and Captain America.
And the ass of America.
They had the balls to say that costume for first Avengers is really bad.
Yeah, I think I never thought it was bad at the time. Like at that time, in 2012 when I saw it in the cinema, I didn't actually find it.
But when you compare it to every other Captain America uniform, it's like, okay, that one's pretty bad.
Yeah, you're like, oh my god, that's like the ceremonial outfit. Like that's what they would wear at the parades, not actually in the field.
It's the outfit you wear when you're doing gym instructional videos.
Yeah, yeah. So you get caught in detention, eh?
To be fair though, I mean, Coulson did design it, so...
Coulson did design it. He had some aesthetic input himself, didn't he, with his trading cards. But yes, I really thought the elevator scene was the fight with Captain America versus Captain America. It was so great. It was great fight.
Well, it's like, I can do this all day. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I know. Pretending he's like, Bucky's alive. Doesn't that kind of undo in that timeline, because it's an alternate reality now, undo the Winter Soldier, because the whole time now he's going to be thinking, wait, Bucky's alive?
A little bit, yeah. Or he could have just thought that he was screwing with them, you know?
Then he uses Loki's scepter to knock him out.
Yep.
That was great. All tied in, it works so perfectly.
Silence. Let's talk about Nebula.
Let's talk about Nebula.
I think she's the last main character we haven't really talked about yet.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who we haven't really spoken about. Yeah, no, Nebula's probably the most main character that we haven't mentioned, really.
Other than, I guess, War Machine, but he doesn't really do much in the film, so let's talk about Nebula.
He's there for numbers. Actually, just for going to Nebula, because you brought War Machine, it's just one quick thing. It's not worth a full segment, so I just want to bring it up. When the Avengers complex gets blown up and he like ejects from his War Machine armor, and then Ant-Man saves them, and in between them, at some point he climbs into other War Machine armor. I thought the other War Machine armor was just like a toy.
It looked pretty bad
because it was like, but it wasn't Battleship Grey like the Infinity War one was, or like the other one he was wearing earlier in the same film. It was like chrome silver grey with bits of blue and red streaked through it, and it looked like a toy.
War Machine is a very strange character.
He is.
He's basically just lesser Iron Man.
I would say more powerful Iron Man in some cases, because...
Not more powerful than Nanosuit Iron Man, though.
Because he has more guns. Like, he's more deadly. But he isn't as technologically advanced, because, you know, that's true. But I think Nanosuit Iron Man was horrendous. I hated it. I thought this... Marvel gets away with a lot of shoddy CGI, and I thought nanotech Iron Man was. I didn't mind the nano suit for this film because it looked less nano suit. It looked with like the gold legs and stuff.
Yeah.
I thought it looked a little bit more realistic. Also, I know we're extending it into Iron Man again before we go into Nebula. Is the person who makes Iron Man's nano suit armor a fan of Halo? Because
why do you say that?
in Infinity War he had an energy sword, and in Endgame he has a hard light shield.
He's used the hard light shield before, is he not?
Never.
I thought I'd seen that before somewhere.
In Infinity War he almost has like a riot shield, but it's not hard light, it's actual nano armor.
Oh, that's true. It's made of the nanotech stuff.
Yeah, it's made of
Yeah, I didn't like his armor in Infinity War either. I thought it looked really fake.
Yeah, I thought it looked really fake as well. Like clearly there wasn't armor. In this film,
It didn't look as cool either. Like that first Iron Man suit from the first Iron Man film, to me, will always be the most badass Iron Man suit.
Yes, the one from Iron Man 3 is grown on me as well. The Mark 42, the one that's predominantly gold. Like, there's a lot of but it's matte gold. It's not shiny gold. Only the front and the face and stuff.
The hot rod red, the sort of, it wasn't bulky, but it looked real.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yeah. I also think,
and every other suit after that has just gone more and more fakey looking.
I disagree. I really think the Civil War suit is really good as well. I think the Civil War outfit was really good. I also think in Infinity War, the War Machine armor was probably the best it ever looked as well. It's just the nanotech ruins everything for some reason.
Yeah.
It's just an excuse for them to wear motion capture suits, you know?
Basically, the nano suit is so that he can possibly fight against Thanos.
It's just so that he can do it if the plot requires. Anyway, Nebula.
Nebula. So I've never been a huge fan of Nebula.
Neither have I.
I think she's got like the weirdest character. I like, this might be the film that I've liked Nebula most in because she actually has a character arc.
It's undoubtedly the film I like Nebula most in out of any film she's been in. I mean, I'm a big fan of Karen Gillan for obvious reasons.
Yep. Represent our home girl.
Represent home G. But I think that in Guardians 1 she was just henchman for bad guy. I think
she was pretty bad in the first Guardian. She was less bad. Basically, each film she's been in, she's been slightly less bad.
Yeah, in Guardians 2, she was less bad. However, there was a joke in Guardians 2 about something not being ripe, like a fruit or something. And then, like, at some point in the film, Nebula shows up, and they capture someone, and she takes a bite out of the fruit, and she's like, "It's not ripe. They were right," or something. You know, they were right. It isn't ripe. That joke wasn't funny. Never was funny.
It wasn't.
And it's seared into my mind about how unfunny it was, but how seriously they try and deliver it. Like, that's supposed to be a big belly laugh, and no one laughs. And it really affected my impression of the character just because she was given such an awful joke. But in Endgame, Nebula was amazing.
She was good, yeah. I mean, it made it clear that the character changed quite a lot when you see, like, first Guardians Nebula, and she's just a total bitch who just does everything Daddy says.
Also shows how more mechanicalized she's become. Like, in the younger version of her had like an organic left arm, I'm sure, and then in you know the Endgame current version of her, full cyborg left arm.
Yeah, because
like,
Thanos rips off between movies, right?
Yeah, I think before the second one. Or maybe it is after Guardians 2 when she shows up in Infinity War, because she does nothing in Infinity War. You would be forgiven for forgetting she was in Infinity War as a plot device,
as a prisoner. Yeah.
No, as a plot device for Tony Stark to get off Titan.
No, she was also there because that's how Thanos learned.
I think that's another way they could have done that. But I agree that she was there for him to be a prisoner.
No, but she was really good in this film, which surprised me.
Yep.
But I guess she had to be because she's kind of integral to the plot.
Yep, I think they gave. I was surprised how much she had to do with the plot. Like, I was watching it, I was like, God, they're giving Karen Gillan a lot, and it's not that I don't think she's capable, but to me, I still think like 2 films ago, she was just lucky to be there because she just finished Doctor Who. Like,
and now she's one of the main cast in this film.
Yeah, it's like, Jesus, you were in 2013. You were the cameo for when Matt Smith was about to regenerate into Peter Capaldi. Like, you had a blink and you'll miss it cameo. where she like says goodbye to him on the TARDIS and it's all hallucination.
Mm-hmm.
And she's wearing a wig because
yeah, because she'd just been Nebula.
She'd just been Nebula. And then Guardians came out in 2014. And in between kind of the Guardians movies, she'd done a little bit of horror movies here and there and a little bit of other acting work. But she was still the Doctor Who girl to me. She was Amelia Pond, which I loved. Great, perfect casting.
Well, it is a shame that playing Nebula, she's so hard to tell who it is.
I suppose if you didn't know it was Karen Gillan, it would be hard. I always knew it was Karen Gillan, like right away. I don't know why. Maybe I had read about it beforehand. I can't remember much about 2014 Guardians of the Galaxy, to be honest. But I'm very shocked how big she's went. You know?
I mean, I liked her character in this movie. I don't know, like, seeing the sort of subdued Nebula who's like, just kind of grumpy, as opposed to angry at everything all the time as her entire character, which they kind of play off. And by the way, does she shoot her own herself?
Her past
How does
self,
that
she
work?
shoots her younger self.
How does that work?
Because it's a different reality. This is how it's kind of mind bending. Like, see these like predetermined time paradoxes where if something happens to a past version of yourself, you're changing your own history. So if something happens to a past, it won't happen. That's not how it's working. When you meet a younger version of yourself in the MCU,
it's a different version.
It's a different version because you only need to look into your own memory to think, well, that never happened to me when I was that age.
Yeah.
That just didn't. I never had this experience. So now that
basically what
I've
they're doing by
changed,
grabbing all the Infinity Stones is fucking up other universes.
yeah, they're fucking up other universes, which is why they had to return them. But then, of course, Loki would just steal one anyway and create his own. Even though he's not leaving the timeline with it, he's taking it to somewhere where it never originally went, and he's not going to return it to the moment he took it. Clearly, because it isn't time travel.
Unlikely, yeah.
So they are fucking up other realities, which that could be a story point. That there could be a future film where they're like, you messed up other realities. We want revenge.
We're pissed at you.
And there's like evil Captain America who fights good Captain America.
There's an alternate version of Hulk where he becomes a supervillain called the Maestro or whatever, and he just murders other versions of Hulk from other realities.
Jesus Christ!
Just because he can.
That is dark. I've never heard
Yeah.
that. I've heard of like Grey Hulk and stuff, but wow.
Yeah, he has like a piece of Iron Man armor on his shoulder and Captain America's shield on his other shoulder and stuff like that.
That is, wow. That's what they're gonna do, Kyle. You've cracked it. That's exactly what we're gonna do, Kyle. Honestly, go to a betting shop and put money on that because that sounds like MCU. Because they're not gonna give Hulk his own movie at any point because Universal own the distribution rights to any Incredible Hulk film, and Marvel do not want to get them involved. But they can have them just be side characters to other people's films, like Thor Ragnarok and Avengers and stuff. But my God, they'll find a way to do a film where Hulk's running around killing people, and like the main character of that film has to try and stop him. But good Bruce Banner Hulk is just there for the ride,
Of course, yeah. Professor Hulk. Professor Hulk versus Evil Hulk with a big white beard.
He has a big white beard?
He has a big white beard.
Wow. Yeah, that's what they're going to do, because it'll be, the character's older now, The Fantastic Four will be a Fantastic Four film. That's my bet.
Fantastic Four versus Evil Hulk.
They'll bring back Chris Evans to play Johnny Storm.
Do you have more to talk about?
Stanley's final cameo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I preferred his cameo in
Captain Marvel.
But
I think his Captain Marvel one was a lot better. Mainly because
his Captain Marvel one in the title scene felt a lot more like final,
Yeah, but it's like because he's like sitting on the train and he's reading a comic book and he's like
he's reading the script from Mallrats.
Oh, is he? Right, well, and he's like something about being a true believer, and then like Captain Marvel takes down the book and he looks up to her and smiles, and there's like a little glimmer in the music, and it's just this little happy, soft, heartfelt moment for the audience mainly.
As opposed to this one, which is just a more classic Stanley cameo where it's a joke.
Yeah, it's a joke, and he like drives by, look at like clearly they didn't even de-age him. They just had him put on like a black wig. They didn't spend any CGI on him because they wanted people to know it was still Stan Lee. Even though I think I almost missed it. I caught it, but I was like, is that Stan Lee? He's like, like peace, not war. People think that maybe he might have recorded a cameo for the next Spider-Man film. But the Russo brothers, I think, said that this will be his last cameo, and I think because they think Endgame's a nice place to end. But because I think that cameo was underwhelming.
From the Stan Lee universe, the cameo in Captain Marvel was a lot more final.
Yeah, it was a lot more final. So I kind of like, if you've got one for Spider-Man, use it, because this one wasn't really my favourite last cameo for Stan Lee.
No.
The MCU might never end, but unfortunately this podcast must.
Thank you.